In November, I sold 35 items for total sales of $1,739 and a profit out of that of $999.99. I literally missed my monthly goal of $1,000, at least $1,000 by 1 penny. 1 penny, it doesn't really matter, but it hurts me a little bit that I did not achieve my goal technically. But anyway, I'm going to run through everything that I sold. I'm going to start with the least profitable item and go all the way up to the most profitable item, which was $122 in profit, and it's an item I picked up at a Goodwill. So with that, let's jump into it. So I'm actually shooting this after I finished the video, so everything that you're going to see after me talking here was filmed before this. So one, thank you for taking the chance on a small channel. I know you have a lot of choices out there in YouTube land for what you watch. I'm a tiny channel, so thank you for taking a chance on me. But number two, kind of want your opinion on this. After I talked about all the items, and a lot of them are small dollar, I realized that my top 10 items accounted for $654 of my profit. So that's like 66% of the profit in just 10 items. Was it worth it to take the time to sell the other 25, all the pain and shipping and everything, the tediousness that goes along with selling an item? Was it worth it? You tell me. Would you stop at 10 or would you have sold all the small stuff? So just something to think about. All right, on to the main video. First one we've got is this Nikon Coolpix S3000 camera. I paid $15 for it. I sold it for $16, so I made negative $2.82. Now, why would I do that? Because I didn't test it in time to realize that it had a focusing issue and couldn't get it to work, and it was too late to return it, so I just sold it to recoup some of my money. So starting off, the first item is a money loser. Next, we've got this Adams Destroyer model. This is a part of a lot of 23 models that I bought for about $357 in an estate sale, so I've got a bunch of models here I'll be talking about. Sold price was $9.99, so I made $6.54 after fees. I didn't assign an item cost to it because it comes out of that lot, so I'm not sure how I'm going to assign the cost to each of these, but that's how it goes. Same thing for this F89 model. Sold for $9.99 and I profited $6.83 after fees. Next, we've got this Starbucks barista mug, and this style of mug, a Starbucks mug, tends to sell regularly. I sell a number of mugs, but this one is consistent. It's not a big dollar item. I sold it for $14.99. It cost me $4, so I made $7.39 after fees. Next, we've got this Epson 220 ink. I picked it up for $8, flipped it for $29, and after fees and shipping, I made $8.21. So you feel like I should have made a little more than that, but that's the way it works out. But I'm not too upset because brand new ink, it's just a couple of pictures. It's super simple to list and move on to the next item. Then we've got this lot of small handheld video games, Centipede, Frogger, Pac-Man, and Space Invaders. I picked these all up for $20, I think that's about right, or 15 to 20. And I sold the whole lot for $41. Total profit was $12.94, which really wasn't worth it. But honestly, I bought them because I thought they were kind of cool. I bought them at different times individually over the course of a couple of months. Thought they were just kind of fun to have, and I played with them, kids played with them, so it wasn't just a pure flip buy that I got. Next up, we've got the snap circuit capacitors, and Melissa bought a whole bunch of them for $8. And so I haven't assigned a item cost to this because I broke them out into a bunch of different lots. But I sold it for $11.80 and we made $9.06. So just off of that lot, we've covered the cost of the pieces. And then I've got several other lots that I have sold mostly in December. So I'll get to that in the next video. Next up, we've got this window off of a Brother typewriter. I bought a typewriter and I didn't test it until it was too late again. There's a theme here. And the typewriter would not advance when you hit enter. So I decided to get the part to replace it. But the part that I got didn't really work because long story. And so I ended up just parting out the typewriter and I paid, I think, $20 for the typewriter, and this window I sold for $20, made $10.08. Next up, we've got this U.S. Montrose naval ship. Again, it's from that lot. Sold it for $12. Profit after fees was $10.53. Then we've got this D. Marini Voodoo bat, and if you watch some of my other videos, you know that I like D. Marini bats. They can go well. Picked it up for $15, sold it for $25, which means I made $10.70. So this D. Marini bat was not the best one. Some of them I've sold for over $100, but again, a bat isn't hard. It's easy to pack, ship, and get moving. So $10, I'm not too upset about it. I thought it would go for more, but this particular version just didn't. Next up, we have another Adams Destroyer that I sold for $11.99 and made $11.85 after fees. And you might be thinking, that's only a 14 cents delta, Eric. How did you make that much money after fees? And it's because extra shipping was paid. It didn't cost as much to ship it as I thought, so I got a little extra money in that sale, and that's how that worked out. Next up, we got this Shiano? I don't know how to pronounce that, aircraft carrier model. I assigned an item cost of $5 to it out of the lot of models. Sold it for $21, which means I made $11.94 on that model. So next up, we got another gearing destroyer. I promise it gets more interesting as we get into this. It's not all models of battleships. Sold it for $13, profited $12.51. Same thing here because it was big, and so the shipping was way over. So I got a little extra money in the shipping. Next up, these 8600 printers. I like parting them out. I parted this one out, and it cost me $20, so I assigned $5 to this printer tray, and I sold it for $33, which means I made $13.61 on the printer out fee table. Next, we've got HP 63 ink, paid $6.39, flipped it for $30, which means I made $13.74. Next, we got another model, an F18 model, sold it for $19, made $14.64. Then we've got this 747 book that I picked up at a church estate sale. I got it for free. For some reason, they gave it to me for free with a bunch of other stuff that I was buying. I flipped it for $30, and after fees, I made $18.83. So not a bad flip on something that was free. Then we've got the CD player, Sony CDP C445. This was something I got in a lot of electronics in a estate sale, and it just was never selling. And so I flipped it for $20, and after everything was said and done, I made $20 because I sold it. Because I sold it to a person who came to the house and picked it up. So I assigned a zero cost to it because it was with the rest of the lot. Sold it for $20, so I said that I made $20. Maybe your accounting would be different with something like that, but that's how I did it. Next up, we got this Magnavox VCR DVD combo. Picked it up for $20. It cost me nothing because my son didn't want it anymore, and he just gave it to me. I'm like, okay. So after everything was said and done, I made $20.77. Again, a little extra on the shipping. Next item is this Netgear N750 router that I picked up for $20 at a Goodwill, flipped it for $65 and made $21.72. It was free shipping was the problem there. That's why the profit isn't as great as one might expect off of that. But I mean, it's brand new, couple of pictures, and it went, I think it took a month to go. So it wasn't really a long time. Then we've got this strobe light that I picked up. I bought it for $13, sold it for $30. So the profit on it was $26.17 after everything was said and done. Again, shipping, I made some money on the shipping, which is the reason why the profit is so close to what I sold it for. Then we got a camera, a Canon SureShot 115U. I flipped it for $50, paid $13, made $28.15. And then we got another gearing destroyer. I assigned a cost of $15 to this, so that means that when I sold it for $54, I made $28.29. And then this Ride Grace snowboard, I picked it up at for 10 at a Vinnie's, flipped it for $40, so I made $20.07. This was a local sale off of Facebook, so I didn't have to pay eBay fees and no shipping or anything like that. So why am I saying it's sales tax. That's why it's not a straight 30, the sales tax. I paid 10 plus sales tax. All right. Then we got this Pioneer CD player that I picked up for 15, sold it for 65, and profit was $33.86. Then we've got these Magnavox Master Games for the Odyssey 2, which is a vintage game console from the 70s that I had as a kid. Paid 61, flipped them for 129, and made 38. Which was fantastic in my mind because I bought them because we also bought an Odyssey 2 at the same time. I wanted to try the games because as a kid, I wanted to use them and play them, and I never got to. So here I am as an old guy, and I got to play them. And I played for about 5 minutes because, my gosh, this is terrible, so I no longer have the desire to play these games. So the fact that I made 38 bucks off of them was good in my mind. Next up, we got this Olympus Infinity Stylus Zoom camera, and these style of cameras from Olympus go well. There's a number of different models, but there can be the Infinity Stylus Zoom or just the Stylus Zoom, but they generally go for good money. I paid $13, sold it for $80, so I made $47.47. And then picked up these games. It's actually one game, Affliction, and then an expansion pack at Goodwill. Paid $32 for it, flipped for $100, so I made $49.69. And then this Conquest of the Empire game, I paid $5 at Goodwill, and you can see one right there that I had when I was a kid, so I knew that it was kind of a neat game. That one on the shelf is my personal one. This one that I just sold, I knew that it would probably go well, so I paid $5, sold it for $70, and again a little bit extra on the shipping, so I made $61.07 on it. And here's another DVD VHS combo. It's a Sony. It has the HDMI port, so it's newer. Picked it up for $20, sold it for $110, so I made $70.18 on it after fees. So these DVD VCR consoles can be your friend. Usually you're looking for Sony and Go Video are the good ones to look out for. Some of the other brands are not so hot. Next up, we've got this Schernhut, German, I guess, giraffe. It's a vintage toy from the 1930s made of wood. I picked it up at auction for $50.46. I sold it for $180, which means I made $97.94 in profit on this one. And it was a little different because the buyer asked me with the strings inside, were they tight, which is a subjective call. And so instead, I just shot a video of it, articulating it, and then just showing how well it stood up or didn't stand up or hold its head up and all that, so that she could get a exact sense of how good the strings were. And that video, she bought it after seeing that. And then she sent me a note, or positive feedback, I guess is what it was, that it was a good sale and she is happy. So we're always good to have that closure. And then second to last item, we've got this Canon PowerShot SD1400 IS. Paid $15 for it, flipped it for $170, so I made $104.20 after eBay fees and having to buy a battery for it. And the final item is another camera. It's a Canon PowerShot 180 ELF. I paid $15 for it as well, flipped it for $180 and profited $122.39 after fees and buying a charger and battery for it. So Sony CyberShot, Canon PowerShot, Nikon Coolpix, the point and shoot cameras, those are your friend. They go for good money and they are fairly common to find, so keep your eye out for them. So that's what I've got for you in this round of What Sold. And so until next time, happy thrifting.